Okay, hey everyone. I thought I'd do a couple of beginner flies. We've got a lot of new people around and people getting into fly tying all the time, so thought a good time to start doing some simple flies that you know, relatively easy to tie but still quite effective when you do fish them. So the first one I'm going to do is the Clouser Minnow, named after a guy called Bob Clouser. Fairly straightforward. I'll go through the materials. It's a standard O'Shaughnessy hook. You can tie them on any hook really. If you're going up into the tropics and fishing, you probably want to tie them on a Gamakatsu SL12S or something similar to that. This is just a straight Daiichi. This is a size 1. You want lead eyes, just your standard Dumbell lead eyes. A little bit of flash, whether it be Krystal flash, sparkle flash, DNA, whatever. Bucktail, so whatever colours you want to use for the fly. And that's pretty much it. So first step, we start the thread off and put down a reasonable layer of thread. I go all the way to the bend of the hook. And one of the things with the Clouser that frustrates a lot of people when they fish them is the fact that sometimes they tail wrap. So you want to try and avoid that by taking the thread all the way to the back, and when you tie in the first layer, as I'll show you, making sure you wind back a fair bit. Alright, so we're going to tie the eyes in. So we're just going to cross over. We're going to do about 8 or 9 wraps there and then cross over to the other side. We'll do around about the same number of wraps. Then I do an up, under and down, and that pulls the eyes down onto the shank of the hook. And then I come around like that, and that puts them on fairly tight. Alright, now check that they're straight. So look from the front, use your thread as like a plumb bob, so you know when the hook's straight. Check where the eyes are straight, and adjust them as you need to. Okay, so a few mils back from the eye of the hook, so you've got room to tie your materials in off the front. Right, next step is to put the underlayer colour for your fly. Now most Clousers, when you see them in the shops and stuff, have white underneath, so I'm going to stick with the white for this one. It's going to be an olive over white, and then as I said, just adjust the colours as you want, depending on what you're fishing for. Alright, so I've got a good bunch of bucktail, and we're going to tie that in front of the hook. So I actually start with the thread just behind the eye of the hook, like so. Alright, now don't tie it too tight. Alright, if you put a lot of pressure on bucktail, it splays out like deer hair does. Right, so you can see there that's still nice and flat. And then bring the thread to the front and tie in off at the front. Alright, any loose overhangs, just cut them off. Try and cut them on an angle, and that'll help you with shaping the head when it comes time to shape the head. Alright, tie that in, and that's pretty much the underside done. Okay, turn him over. Now I'm going to tie in a little bit of flash. With the flash, personal taste, but some fish actually are wary when they see a lot of flash, depending on the water and the type of fish, so just keep that in mind. However, you can always take flash out on the water, you can't add it in, so think about that. So you might be better off sometimes to put more flash in and then remove some if the water's really clear or the fish aren't striking. So with the flash, I usually go down a little bit past the tail, which is actually a variation of the Clouser. There's another Clouser called a flash tail Clouser, and what it is they just put a lot of flash in and bring it back past the tail of the Clouser. So a bit of the flash in each side of the hook, and just tie that in the same. Push it back. Now what I do is I go around the eyes once as well, and that just holds the flash nice and centrally on the hook. Stops it moving either side when you put the next layer of bucktail in. Alright, so it's coming together, and then the last thing to do is just put whatever colour you're going to put in over the top. So as I said, in this case I'm putting an olive in. In fact, this is called a yellow olive, so it's a bit of a lighter olive than the normal one, but I really like it for saltwater fish. Alright, so same deal, we're just going to take that back to there. So we put that onto there, and again, light wraps first. If you pull it hard, you'll see that will just all of a sudden splay out, and so will the bucktail that I'm actually holding with my fingers. So you start off nice and light. It's still enough to hold it in, yeah. Alright, just make sure it's relatively centered, like that. Again, cut it on the angle if you can cut it on the angle, and you'll get a better finish with your thread wraps at the end. Alright, and then we just tie that off down to the eye of the hook and form a bit of a head. So flat wax nylon is really good for this, especially if you're just starting out. It builds up a head really quickly, as you can see. Alright, if you use something like 6/0 thread or uni thread, it's a little bit thinner, but you actually will get a neater head. So the difference, I guess, is that the 6/0 is going to break a lot quicker than the flat waxed if you're just starting out, and it can be frustrating. So okay, so that's it, whip finish thread. Now, one thing I do, and this is just me being pedantic, is colour the thread a little bit, and just get a little bit of colour like so into the thread. You can do red thread, you can do whatever thread you like, but that is basically a clouser, and then I just finish off with either a coat of epoxy, which is clear glue in this case, or just some head cement, whatever you've got handy, just to protect the thread at the front, because you don't want it coming undone, and you're going to be dragging things like this across the bottom, so quite often that will wear the thread through. That's it, done. That's the clouser, simple. Thanks guys.